Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The first contestant in the 2010 Messenger Community News Mortgage Choice Golden Gavel competition from LJ Hooker, Mr. Michael Fenn.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. At Fox Real Estate, we pride ourselves in offering you exquisite and exciting property right the way across the South Australian property market. And make absolutely no mistakes about it, that is exactly what we have here for you today. A wonderful 1869 built character church estate that from the moment you arrive, you could be absolutely anywhere. In fact, it reminds me of all the classic European architecture I experienced on my recent trip. That from the moment you walk in, the property gives you that glorious sense of attention to detail, the preciseness and design that only you would get from a property from this sensational vintage era. Recently, the property has undergone partial residential developments and improvements, and to be honest with you, at the moment it's quite modest in presentation. But I know with the right creative ideas and a creative imagination, this property could be returned to its former best, and we sincerely wish you all every success in your purchasing here today. By way of introduction, my name is Michael Fenn, working under instructions from our real estate agent, Andrew Fox from Fox Real Estate. We are the proudest members of the Society of Auctioneers and Appraisers and the Real Estate Institute of South Australia, and we have the utmost privilege to be your auction team here. Today's format we are going to make very straightforward for you. Firstly, we're going to pace you through the contract and the terms and conditions in which we sell. Secondly, we're going to answer any questions you may have before we revisit the property one last time. And then thirdly, we'll get straight into that exciting part, which is, of course, your competitive bidding. So, ladies and gentlemen, to the contract we'll go. Well, we all know the property as number 81 Jeffcott Street in North Adelaide. But down there at the Lands Titles Office, they know it a little more formally as all of that land is Certificate of Titles, Register Book Volume 5863, Folio 432, and Certificate of Title, Register Book Volume 5848, Folio 555. It is all of that land on two titles, with two street accesses and being sold as one unique package. Today's sale also includes all of that land on approximately 1,293 square metres, with all buildings and improvements, fixtures and fittings within the dwellings, and of course all current work and structures upon the land. There are no exclusions from today's sale, but we do sell subject and together with various easements, rights-of-ways and party walls as depicted on those certificates of title. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are selling as standard auction conditions here today. We are looking for the mandatory 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer, with a successful purchaser coming up with the rating at settlement, which has been set down for 30 days from today. Any variations to either that deposit or settlement must have a vendor's written approval. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't panic. For those people who have sought some variation, you can bid confidently knowing those variations have been accepted. Now, under the provisions of the new real estate legislation, I am required by law to confirm that all our registered bidders have received the appropriate documentation. The R3, the Buyer's Information Notice. The R4, the Bidder's Guide. And of course, that wonderful R5 document relating to all collusive practices. I furthermore state that the property is being offered to you subject to our vendor's reserve price as recorded in the auction record. In order to bid, you must be registered.
1.2 million?
Just a moment, madam. We'll be right with you in a second. You're after bidding today. It's good to see you're registered. Just one moment. We'll be with you in a couple of moments. Thank you. As I said, as this lady's already kindly done, in order to bid, you must be registered and display that number as allocated to you. As the auctioneer, I make a bid on behalf of the vendor, but not such more than 3 such bids up to, but not including the reserve price, and I'll clearly announce that as a vendor bid with me. When the bidding reaches and exceeds the reserve price, I'm going to clearly call the property 3 times or 3 times only before announcing the property is sold and no further bids will be taken. As auctioneer, I do have the irrevocable authority to sign a contract on behalf of the vendor, the purchaser, or both in the event of any breach of those terms and conditions of auction. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are the successful purchaser, we do remind you lastly just to take out all appropriate insurance cover notes just to protect your interest in the property, and of course finally calling off rights, well, they don't apply for any person who bids here on the day of auction, whether in person, proxy or representative. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the terms and conditions. That's our contract. Do we have any last-minute questions, queries at this stage?
Mr. Auctioneer,
Yes, sir.
in the future I might want to cut off the lot at the back and build a second house. Will that be possible?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. Look, it is something that people have looked into. You would have to take that up with the council in relation to any subdivision prospects. What I can tell you, there has been a number of people who have looked down that avenue. I certainly wish you all good luck with your bidding here today. Any further questions? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when people acquire property here in North Adelaide, it's normally for a number of significant reasons. Whether it's because of this beautiful streetscape, the shops, the cosmopolitan lifestyle that presents, or is it because of the close proximity to Adelaide CBD? Or is it just that little bit special, all the wonderful building heritage and design that this magnificent area has to offer? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when our vendors, the Unique Building Group, first purchased this property just 3 years ago, they had all of these in mind. And they had a vision to create the ultimate small development, urban lifestyle with all the excitement you could ever want. With 3 spacious independent residences, all with open floor plans, spacious bedrooms, and enough of the modern day necessities that you require in your day-to-day life without interfering with any of the sensitive heritage issues this property has to offer. Unfortunately, due to unavoidable circumstances, the opportunity presents for someone to come along, continue this journey, and recreate these lifestyles that still today could set the benchmark of exactly what inner city living is all about. However, if redevelopment is not your thing, why not return and restore this timeless classic to all its glory? Whether you use a portion, a part, or none of the works which have already been done, and with an endless amount of usable space and certainly room to extend, this property could be transformed into that dream home that exactly you've been looking for. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in summary, this property is an absolute beauty, a smorgasbord of options, and your opportunity to create and secure your very own piece of South Australian history. So buyers, I'm going to hand it over to you now. I have pleasure in presenting number 81 Jeffcott Street in North Adelaide. In your hands, buyers, do we have an opening bid or offer to get us away? Madam.
Mr. Auctioneer, we
Yes.
need to stop this auction.
Okay,
God's house of worship cannot be sold.
right. You were looking at buying it a moment ago. What I suggest is I reckon you just keep putting up your hand till I say stop, and you can do absolutely whatever